Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Snaps. This is your favorite daily college football podcast, or at least I hope it's one of your favorites. I'm T-Bob Hebert. He's Aaron Murray, and it's Wednesday, which means not only are we going to react to the first batch of college football playoff rankings, but we'll preview the rest of the big games this weekend. Of course, talking about a couple of 1v2 battles in the SEC, both on the East and the West. Little Big 12 matchup that's got a little juice in Texas, Kansas State. So it's going to be a very fun Snaps. As always, we love for you to get involved. Come hang out with us. If you listen to a podcast, that's what's up. Hell yeah, that's cool. But if you ever want to come hang out with us live, youtube.com/@volumesnaps. We are live 1 Eastern, noon Central every single day. Aaron is fresh off the plane. The man never stops working. He was calling a Halloween night blizzard game in Toledo last night. How you feeling, Aaron?
A lot warmer now. I'm back in Atlanta, which is still not very warm. We had a little bit of a cold spell here in Georgia, but definitely nice to not have to wake up and wait for my essentially entire rental car to de-thaw itself for about 10 minutes as I was stressing I was going to miss my flight this morning back here. So we made it. We're good. We're warm. And I literally just sat at my desk. I forgot to turn my lights on. So I need you to filibuster for 2 seconds while I go turn them on, T-Bob.
Yeah, let's what's up, Christopher, Jimmy, BA, Wade, Greg, everybody else hanging out in the chat right now. Let's see. Ohio State has more total punt yards than total rushing yards so far this season. Number 1 team in the country. Clown, says Jimmy. We'll get into that here in a second. And Greg says, ask Snaps, has Connor Stalions officially entered the college football lexicon? Yes, absolutely. I mean, he is up there with sliced bread. Like we said, he's in the Hall of Fame. The latest, the Central Michigan drama is just another beautiful wrinkle. In case you missed it, Connor, there are alleged pictures of, the pictures aren't alleged. There are pictures of a person who is allegedly Connor Stalions. And I got to give a shout out to our guy, Late Kick Josh. Did you see the thread that he had on the pictures, Aaron?
No, I missed that one.
So the person that looks like Stalions, you can see him at night. He still has sunglasses on at night, and there's this weird little blue glare at the edge of it. Josh then links these Ray-Ban film glasses that look exactly like those. And there's another screenshot of him with a plain white clipboard. He has Nike shoes that are altered to look like Adidas. I mean, this man really, just like his LinkedIn said, it appears that he used all of his military background to straight up sneak onto the Central Michigan sidelines and scout Michigan State, as Jim McElwain was out there saying, look, we had no idea. We're putting it all together. This is Dobby says, no way that's him. That would be crazy. I mean, I think it's absolutely him. Like, I don't, if you look at all the videos of people overlaying his face with that face, like it's in my opinion, it's
I know it's cheating. I posted about this yesterday, I think, but I absolutely love it. I really do. I find this whole thing so fascinating. I've never seen anyone love one school as much as Connor loves Michigan. It's unbelievable to go to that extent. He is a real go blue, just like, man, he's a legend in the state. He should be. And if he does get fired or whatever it is, like, someone better hire him from some big corporation in that state for all he's done for Michigan football.
Yeah, Tommy's right, dude. Straight up using marine intelligence to infiltrate Central Michigan. I mean, he has a big advantage, right? Central Michigan's not expecting a former military veteran to James Bond their way onto the sideline to steal shitty ass Michigan State signals. We can talk about, look, I want to talk playoff rankings. We can talk more about like punishment, what should not be the case a bit later on. All right, let's get into the playoff rankings though. We had the first playoff rankings of the year, and oh my God, do I even have them brought up? Hold on, I have them somewhere. Here we go. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, UGA. Number 3, Michigan. Number 4, Florida State. Washington as the lone undefeated on the outside looking in at 5, and then Oregon checking in at 6, Texas 7, Bama 8, Oklahoma 9, Ole Miss top 10. Bit of a flex there for Ole Miss. Aaron, okay, so you see this top 10. what is the first thing that jumps off the page to you?
Well, not surprised Ohio State's won. That's for sure. Like they've played a tough schedule. They have the best resume right now. So like I agree. Like I'm fine with it. Like I was, were you going to say, hey, Georgia, Florida was enough for you to say back-to-back champs? We'll give you that number one spot. But I also would not have been mad if Ohio State was one either, because I do think they've at least deserved it. What I have a problem with the entire thing is, what is the criteria? Like, what is the order of importance? Is it your resume? Which by putting Ohio State at one, you kind of make that decision that, yes, I think most people, I'll back up for a question. I think most people, when they watch Ohio State, can say that's not the best team in America. I think there's a lot of confidence in that. I'm saying that, like, that is not the best team in America. They wouldn't beat Georgia. They wouldn't beat Michigan. Hell, I don't even know if they beat Oregon. Good football team, really good football team, top 5 team. But you put them one because of the resume and because of who they've beaten. But yet you put Georgia, Michigan 2-3, who haven't really played anyone, and then Florida State at 4, who does have a better resume. So are you ranking teams based on resume, or are you ranking them based on the fact that you think they're just elite when I'm talking about Georgia and Michigan here? So like if Ohio State's 1, then Florida State should be 2 in that case. Right? Am I crazy to say that?
Tyler, so look, here's the deal, Aaron, is you're falling into the fundamental trap that so many do, and it's not even a trap. It's not a bug. It's a feature.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, they don't want a consistent parameter here.
Mm-mm.
Like, that's kind of the entire point of this thing since its inception, right? Was wanting to get away from something like the BCS, where it's just here's a pure formula and the computer's going to spit it out and that's going to be what the teams are. No, like, the whole point of all of this is to use a poorly defined, somewhat vague amalgamation of different reasons to try to find what we as human beings believe to be the best 4 teams. And so sometimes that's putting your thumb on the scale for deserving. Sometimes it's putting your thumb on the scale for what teams you just think look better. And again, that does make sense to me, though. Because you cannot like Ohio State, but objectively, they have the best 2 wins. And I'm just not going to reward teams that haven't challenged themselves over them here at the beginning. And so if that means that Ohio State gets the early nod or a little leeway, like, I think that is right. Kind of with that in mind, my human interpretation, look, I think it's a little crazy that the Pac-12 can have 6 teams in the top 25, and then the Pac-12 leader, the undefeated team, is on the outside looking in. I mean, me personally, I probably would have had.
But do you get what I said though, in the sense of, like, if you're gonna grant Ohio State 1, you obviously are looking at the resume. Then why is Florida State and Washington, who have a better resume, behind Georgia and Michigan then?
Because it's just simply humans saying that, yes, despite the fact that what you're saying is true, we think that Michigan and Georgia just look like better teams than those other 2, because Florida State struggled at times this year, even though they've been very hot lately, and they have
Ohio State struggled at times this year too, though.
Yeah, but they have the best 2 wins. That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, can we all stop with this fucking shit? Can we be honest about it?
What?
Beating the shit out of a bad team is easier than beating a good team. I would rather reward the teams that beat good teams and maybe have a close game against a bad team.
But Michigan hasn't.
Yeah, I know. No, I know they haven't. That's what I'm saying.
You keep talking criteria, but they did not. Or resume.
No, what I'm saying is there is no criteria.
I know there's no criteria.
It's all just a mixture of whatever
you're saying right now that resume does mean something, yet you're perfectly okay with Georgia and Michigan being 2-3.
Well, because Ohio State, for the most part, has 2 big wins, and they beat the shit out of everybody, and they've got they've got plenty of past success. And they've got NFL talent, guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. There's more than enough reasons to make. Like Tyler Ben says, let's be real here. In what world does Ohio State not get blown out by either of those 3 other teams? Like, come on. I don't fucking know what Georgia would do against Ohio State. Fuck out of here. If you think Georgia just roll Ohio State.
Which is why I'm fine with them at 1.
Do against Ohio State.
Which is why you always say this, T, like the games have to matter. And right now, Ohio State has played the games, which is why I'm perfectly fine with them being 1. Like, I can think that I know Georgia's the better football team than Ohio State, or Michigan's going to win in a few weeks. Like, I think I know that, but we really don't. Like, just because Ohio State's winning in a different fashion doesn't make that team
Yeah.
incapable of winning a game in Ann Arbor or winning a Big Ten championship or winning in the playoffs. Like, they are more than capable. Like, that is a really good defense. It's not what we're used to seeing from Ohio State, but they have found ways to win big time football games this season. And so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm still stuck on, like, to me, Washington. I didn't even think about the fact that you brought up all the teams in the Pac-12 are undefeated. I know they even look great as of late. Florida State has some good wins on the resume. LSU win looks better and better, and that win may even look significantly better after this weekend. I know Clemson doesn't help the scenario, but they have better resumes. And I think for Florida State's sake, Florida State has had maybe one bad game this season, but they've still
Yeah,
won.
Boston College.
But
Yeah,
they
no,
still
and they beat
won.
the hell out of everybody else. No, look,
Yes.
So this is the deal, though. I'm also not going to spend too much energy getting mad about 1 through 5 because let's be clear about how the table is set for November. Let's look at Washington. They're going to play number 20 USC, number 18 Utah, number 16 Oregon State, and a Pac-12 championship game.
Yep.
Washington controls their own destiny.
Yes.
UGA will play number 12 Mizzou, number 10 Ole Miss, number 17 Tennessee, plus an SEC championship game. Another control your own destiny. Michigan will play 2 top 10 matchups. They got Purdue, but then Penn State, Maryland, then Ohio State. Again, and let's be clear with Michigan. Also, it's going to be fascinating to watch them because they are going to have a massive magnifying glass on them after all of this sign stealing drama about whether or not they're going to fail. And if they screw up, they will not get back in. And interestingly enough, Ohio State's actually kind of already done a lot of their work. Like if you look at their November, it just comes down to Michigan for them. The only team, Aaron, that I would say that could potentially be in trouble if somehow for once in history, everybody won out. The only team that's in a weird spot here is FSU. They're kind of in the best spot because they have the easiest schedule. Like even the ACC championship game may not be against a ranked team, but in that same breath, they have to finish this thing out. And they should. I mean, they're at Pitt versus Miami versus North Alabama at Florida. ACC championship against an okay team. FSU should be in this playoff, but they have no margin of error.
Well, you bring up and control your destiny. You mentioned the top 5. I think there's 11 of the top 13 teams that control their own destiny right now. Like, there's 11 of them. Like you take care of business, you'll be in the playoffs. Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, Florida State, Washington, Oregon, who I still think is going to be that team. Texas wins out, they're in. Alabama wins out, they're in. Oklahoma wins out, they're in.
No. Hold up now. Big 12 ain't in. Big 12's in a bad spot here. If the Big 12 wins out, you can still have an undefeated Big 10 champion. The SEC champion's going to get in. Florida State, like we said, has a relatively easy path to going undefeated, and then Pac-12. So, no. The Big 12 is the big loser here. Like, they're on the outside looking in due to them fucking around the last couple of weeks.
True that. So take 2 out. But I think Missouri controls their own destiny.
They do.
And I think Louisville, possibly
Ole Miss does. Ole Miss does as well, right?
No. Ole Miss does not because they lost to Alabama. They would need Alabama to lose.
My bad.
So they technically do not control.
You're right.
But
Mizzou does though.
There's a lot
going into Georgia and then having an SEC championship. So I guess look, biggest picture takeaways. FSU really can't fuck this up because they're kind of in the playoff to me from an ease of schedule standpoint. Like, you're not going to leapfrog FSU if they continue to look great and they just win out. Washington will take care of itself. One of the Big 10 teams will drop out. And then the Big 12 is kind of on the outside looking.
Will they though?
If Michigan loses, they're not getting back in.
But if there's
and Ohio State as well. Ohio State doesn't look like they looked in the past few years. This is not like the overwhelmingly good Ohio State who just maybe
only 2
lost
teams.
To a good Michigan.
Only 2 teams have never made the playoffs ranked number 1. It was Mississippi State, the first one, and then Tennessee last year. So obviously it can happen. But getting that number 1 ranking initially for Ohio State kind of does somewhat set the table of if unique things do happen in the ACC or the Big 12, and say you have a couple losses to the Big 12, and say Florida State does lose a game, that a competitive game in Ann Arbor and Ohio State's 11-1, that they may still be in it when it's all said and done because they do have a better resume, better wins on the record than Florida State.
But you're saying if Florida State wins out?
I'm saying Florida State loses 1.
But then the Big 12 comes into play. Like a one-loss Big 12 champion
and I
would make it
mentioned in
over
there
a
too,
one-loss Ohio State.
if both teams in the Big 12 have 2 losses, which is possible this
I
weekend.
do not. I know these things always go awry. This feels like as good of a year as any where a conference will not get 2 teams in.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say this. The team that probably has the chance to play the biggest role of psychopath chaos agent is actually LSU. Because if you go beat Alabama this weekend and then you find your way to Atlanta, and then let's say you win or you could even say Alabama, because if Alabama won the SEC championship, a 2-loss SEC champion kind of just fucks everything up because I don't think
has one loss though.
Well, no,
has one loss.
Okay. So in this scenario, this would be Alabama losing to LSU, but then still winning the West.
Yes.
Like whoever wins this game this weekend, if they beat Georgia and they end up with 2 losses somewhere along the line, then
just keep it simple. If LSU wins this game and LSU beats Georgia, with a Heisman Trophy, with what we would perceive as the Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels, would you keep the SEC champ with the Heisman Trophy winner out of the playoffs?
Yeah, I think he's out, dude. I think a 2-loss team is out.
I think
there will be stronger candidates. That's what I'm saying. So that's why LSU. That's why I'm calling them the biggest chaos agents in all of this, because they have a relatively clear path to just kind of fucking everything up. So I think this is all fun. Again, guys, go back to what we just said about November. Look at the schedules for Washington, UGA, Michigan, Ohio State. Understand that this stuff's going to work themselves out. If you're a Florida State fan, this is such a funny time because, again, your path is so clear. You just can't,
How long does Ohio State hold on to it? You think if Georgia dominates Missouri this week, it flips after 1 week? Or it is going to take Georgia beating Missouri and Ole Miss?
No, I could see it flip, and plus Rutgers is not bad. Rutgers is 62. The 2 Ohio State's got this weekend. So if Ohio State dominates, they probably hold on to it, I would imagine. But if it's close, maybe I don't know. But again, this is just the initial rankings. I love how Kalen DeBoer said it, where they were trying to bait him into getting upset about being outside the top 4. He's like, it's initial rankings. We got a target on our back. That's cool. We're gonna go out here.
Kirby loves it.
We're gonna have our opportunity. To play. Yeah, Kirby's like, they thought you were the second best team. Oh my God. What the fuck is wrong with them? I can't believe everybody.
Take Georgia, baby. Was it -15, -16 right now? I wonder if that number's crept up at all. But I'm kind of feeling it a little bit more now. We'll break that down here.
Yeah. So yeah. Look, and I agree with this statement. All 2-loss teams are out, which means that Louisville and I think a 1-loss ACC is actually out as well. So I only got Missouri, Penn State, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas, and Oregon as teams that have lost that could still potentially get in. Kind of a fun grouping there, to be honest. All right. So look, there's your first playoff rankings. One last final side note here. Also, I would have put Florida State over Michigan, but whatever. That's fine. That's just me. No one should be more upset with their coach than Miami. I think it was a Heather Dinich piece in which she pointed this out. It's so true. They have wins over A&M and Clemson. Had they just knelt that ball, Miami would be 7-1. They'd be in the top 15, and they maybe would have an outside shot at this thing. Instead, they're unranked.
What is quick thoughts? I know we have to get to our game predictions. Are you okay with Oklahoma behind Texas? I know that's been another hot topic.
It feels stinky.
Yeah.
Because they lost the head-to-head. But Texas winning by double digits in Tuscaloosa is actually a stronger win than Oklahoma beating Texas. And one of the quirks about college football, we all know this, it's not just if you lose, it's when you lose, and that's weird. And it's just is what it is though. And so when you lose recently, you're going to get.
Well, it's not even lose. They've looked bad the past 2 weeks with the loss on top of that. So
but exactly. But they also just lost. Yes. So when you just lose, you suffer the consequences.
Recency bias. Yep.
When Ohio State wins the Natty in 2016, they overcome the Virginia Tech loss because it was the second game of the season. So it was a long time before then. All right, let's dive into some game previews, and let's start with the big one here, Aaron. The commissioner called me into his office yesterday. Been just drinking coffee, burning the candle at both ends, trying to solve this case. Commissioner called me and he said, son, give me your badge, give me your gun. You're off the case. I don't know what to make of LSU Alabama, Aaron. I'm too close to it. I'm too close to it. I've got too much emotion tied in, too many family members that are involved in the investigation here. Because you know how it is. When you love something, you love and hate. There's such a thin dividing line. They're two sides of the same coin. So when you love something, you also know its flaws more intimately than those on the outside, and those tend to loom larger. It's like yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Should I be like, yeah, Jaden Daniels is clearly better than Jalen Milroe by a huge gap, and this is the best offense in the country. So, like, why wouldn't they go win the game? Yes. But what I see is an LSU defense that has looked unfathomably bad at this time, and now just lost their All-American interior defensive lineman, is down to 3 freshman corners and a guy in Sage Ryan who sucks at corner. It's just like so the weaknesses loom larger probably because I want the win so badly. So my fear is almost overwhelming my my greed.
Yeah, losing Wingo does not help. I mean, Alabama's dead last when it comes to sacks given up this year, and LSU's third worst in the SEC when it comes to actually getting sacks. So like you take out one of your best guys to get after the quarterback. Listen, it's gonna be a game where you need your superstars to perform at a high level for LSU. Harold Perkins first on defense. You want to protect those DBs? Well, you put him in a situation where you less coverage, more getting after the quarterback. Plain and simple. Like you've experimented this entire season with putting him at linebacker, putting him at nickel, letting him drop back and cover the pass. You got to let him loose. This is a game where your best players have to see ball, go get ball. Harold Perkins, see ball, get after the quarterback. That's the way you protect your DBs.
You really see that? That's what everybody keeps saying. I just don't know that I think getting after the quarterback matters.
It does matter.
Everybody's gotten after the quarterback and it hasn't mattered at all. I mean, maybe if it's like a shootout,
but but once again, like it hasn't mattered because teams haven't been able to score like LSU, though. That's the difference.
That's true.
Alabama's
that is the difference. Okay,
in a position
I
where
can
like the game's not out of hand, like Tennessee. It's a 2-score game. They scored 75 in 2 plays, 75 yards, and it's a ball game all of a sudden. If you play like that versus LSU in the first half, LSU's up by 3 scores. That's the difference. So like I would be more willing to say we're going to play, possibly a little bit more risky on the back end, knowing that Harold Perkins is going to make life living hell for Milroe. I would take that chance because if LSU just sits back and gives Milroe 4 or 5 seconds with those DBs, they're going to get their ass kicked in the back end. So this is Harold's game, and this is Jaden Daniels' game if LSU wants to win. You want to be the Heisman Trophy winner, you go out there and throw 4 or 5 touchdowns. If LSU gets to the mid-30s, they win. If it's a shootout, they win. If they can't move the football or they're not as successful, if it's a 17-13 game in the first half, favors Alabama. That's a game that favors Alabama.
I did hear a little rumor here, and take it with a grain of salt, that Mike Denbrock was talking to one of like the local like touchdown clubs or something like that, like a school. And he said, I was told he said this. It feels crazy to me, but that he said like, yeah, I think if we get 34, that will be good.
That's what I've been saying. 35. They get mid-30s.
No, that's why I bring it up. I thought that was kind of funny. Like that's what it's going. It's just funny to hear a coach just put a number on it. If he indeed did say that. I will say this. One thing, again, being too close to the case, so giving you kind of a local angle on this. In the past, there's always been the idea that LSU has lost the bye week because Nick Saban's staff and Nick Saban himself are vastly superior to what LSU has had. I don't know that that's the case under Brian Kelly. Now, definitely Nick Saban is still the fly in the ointment, right? I mean, you're talking about the greatest coach of all time, and it's always hard to feel good about beating the greatest coach of all time, but like, I do think that Mike Denbrock is significantly better than Tommy Rees. I've never really been that impressed with Kevin Steele. Matt House hasn't been great this year, but still, like, I don't think Steele's anything necessarily to write home about. And then, although Nick Saban is definitely better than Brian Kelly overall resume-wise, that's much closer than it was previous maybe against coaches. Like a Les Miles or previous coaches. So yeah, look, I'm just going goes back to like Mad Max Fury Road, take the chrome, witness me. I'm just fucking balls to the wall, cheering, hoping for the best. I can't pretend to have any great analytical read on this. I'm too close to it.
You are too close.
Hopefully LSU finds a way to win.
I still think it is unsustainable the way Alabama runs their offense. It is. It's exciting. It keeps you in your seats the entire football game because you're just waiting for that massive play. You're just waiting for Jalen to just buy that split extra second to be able to find a receiver down the field. Then all of a sudden, bam, it's a 50-yard touchdown. Bam, it's a 60-yard touchdown. And yeah, like, is that possible versus LSU secondary? 100% it's possible. But it's just like a college basketball team like Alabama, who that's what their basketball team does, who lives and dies by the three-pointer. If it ain't working, the whole thing just crumbles. It's so unreliable. Like LSU's offense to me is the most reliable you can be because you can run the ball with Diggs, you can run the ball with Jaden. You have the best offensive line in the SEC, and you have the best receiving core in the SEC. You can win in multiple facets. Alabama's a one-pitch guy. That's it. One-pitch pitcher. It's a home run or it's a bust. It's a home run or it's a bust. There's if you can make them actually drive the length of the field consistently, you're going to cause turnovers. You're going to cause mistakes. So is this the game where it finally bites Alabama in the butt? LSU fans hope so. You got 2 weeks to prepare for the offense for LSU, and hopefully you got some guys some confidence during the bye week. I think LSU's offense, it comes down to me, LSU's offense is good enough to score points against anyone in this country. And maybe it won't be 40 or 50, but if they get to the mid to high 30s, they win the football game.
Well, to me, if I do want to look at keys, it's the LSU offensive line. And it's because if you look at why A&M, Ole Miss, and Tennessee all faltered to a man, as much as we could talk about Milroe and that offense getting going in the second half, it was more that they couldn't, all those three teams they couldn't do anything offensively in the second half. The Alabama defense took over, and they did it mainly by winning in the trenches. And with that front seven. And so, LSU's offensive line, I think, is the best in the entire country. And so you got to go earn that. You got to go prove that. And that's going to be the case. B-Bean says, T-Bob looks really worried. I'm not worried as much as I still am just in 24/7 debilitating pain. That's what's actually going on here. Speaking of worried, in a case that you may be too close to, first off, let's say you want to go to T-Town this weekend. It's going to be a big time ticket. Game day is going to be there. It's the night game. It's going to be fantastic. It is college football. Okay. Well, guess what? You want tickets to the game? The best way to get them is to the Game Time app. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the United States. And Game Time is obsessed with finding ways to help you save money. This is through exclusive flash deals, sponsored deals on games and concerts that go on daily. And how about this with zone deals? You pick the section and Game Time picks the seats. Big time savings. So like you just pick the section and they find you what the best deals within there. Also with the Game Time guarantee, you always get the best price. So if you find tickets in the same section of row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time and download the Game Time app, create an account, and redeem code SNAPS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, enter code SNAPS, SNAPS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So you could get tickets to go to T-Town, or you get tickets to go to Athens and watch another battle of 1v2. Like we always knew LSU Alabama was going to be good. I don't think we knew Mizzou UGA was going to be this good. It's in Athens. UGA appears to be peaking. I'll start with this question, Aaron. How does UGA look to stop Brady Cook and Luther Burden, especially?
Well, that's the interesting thing of it's Luther Burden and company and Brady Cook and Mookie Cooper and Theo Weiss. Like they've been great this year. I mean, Luther Burden has been maybe the best receiver in the country besides maybe the guys at LSU and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. Like he's elite and he plays in the slot, which is very unique for a lot of defenses to kind of have to, not put your best corner on the best receiver. You're having to put a nickel on that receiver, but they've yet to face a capable secondary. Like if you look at Missouri's schedule, everyone they face has been pretty bad on the back end. But then you flip it over to Georgia, and I've been praising this defensive backfield the entire season. They have yet to face an offense that has the weapons that Missouri has. So this is going to be a first for both of, we really think we're an elite offense throwing the football. Hey, we think we're a really elite defense is stopping the pass. Well, finally, we get to see that for the first true time for both these teams to kind of measure how good are you truly at that aspect of your game. So, you look at Georgia's secondary. And Tyke Smith is incredible. He's coming off the best game of his career there at Georgia, a lockdown nickel. To support him on the back end are two All-American safeties, Javon Bullard and Malachi Starks. So if Georgia can be able to play a little bit more two high to protect the nickel and not give Luther Burden a two-way go at the slot, I think that's going to go a long way. So for Missouri, the key is going to be, can you run the football? And this is a game where Brady Cook, who's kind of a little bit here and there, used his legs. Can he add the dynamic of running it to get one of those elite safeties again in the box, and then give Luther Burden that one-on-one go against the nickel? Like, that's going to be kind of the game plan, I would say, for Missouri early to get Georgia out of that too high shell.
Yeah, I mean, and look, when you're talking about Missouri running the football, Cody Schrader is the second leading rusher in the SEC. He's right behind Ray Davis from Kentucky. He's not someone that's like going, he's not an overwhelming physical talent. He's not like someone that's just going to blow you away from like an NFL potential, everything, but he's been solid. He's a damn good college running back. And so that kind of makes sense as him being the engine that could potentially get Mizzou going. What about when you flip it and you look at this Mizzou defense, who I want to say they've been, let me do a quick check here. Okay. Yeah. They've been all right this year.
Okay. Gave up points to Kansas State, gave up points to Memphis, gave up a lot of points to LSU.
Now you have a Carson Beck that is starting to play more and more confidently week in and week out, it seems.
I view Georgia's offense as just a slight downgrade from LSU's because of the fact there's not truly a weakness on the offense. You have one of the top offense lines in the country like LSU. You have a great running game that's finally kind of hit its gear right now with two healthy running backs. You have really good playmakers on the outside, maybe not to the same degree as LSU, but you have the receivers, and McConkey back is a huge plus, and we see what he did last week versus Florida. And you have a first round talent at the quarterback position in Carson Beck. So like, how do you slow down this offense? You couldn't do it against other offenses out there. I think Missouri's defense is going to struggle. I think that's the biggest difference. Like, yeah, maybe you can score some points on offense, and maybe you can find a way to get some explosive with Luther Burden, but can you do it consistently?
How'd they do it last year? How did Mizzou shut down Stetson Bennett in Georgia last year?
I think it was a bad game. It was.
That's what I'm saying. So it would take Carson. It would take a bad day. Some sort of like there's nothing that we could have looked at on paper to see it coming, but maybe Beck just shows up and Blake Baker's put together some wrinkles or something that just like confuses them, and it's just. And maybe get some bad turnover luck mixed in. The bottom line is it feels like Mizzou's going to have quite a few things break their way if they're going to go into Athens and come out with a win.
Well, and I think last year too, it was in Como. It was a night game. It was an incredible environment. I mean, tremendous environment. I think I remember correctly, Jalen Carter gets hurt in the first possession. So you lose your star defensive player early on in the football game. Stetson was off. Everything kind of went right for Missouri, and Georgia still found a way to win.
Yeah.
Georgia's not going to take them lightly, and it's in Athens. I just think that kind of leads to it's a 15-point spread for a reason, 16-point spread for a reason.
I know. We're trying to make it interesting.
There's a massive gap in talent still. And I love Missouri. I love Eli. I love everything they're doing this year. That's a 9-win, 10-win football team when it's all said and done, which is an incredible season. But besides really Luther Burden, every other position on the football field leans towards Georgia.
Yeah, let's be clear. If Kirby Smart loses this game at home, that's actually a really big black mark against his resume. I mean, whatever, his resume is untouchable. But like, to your point, like you said, Luther Burden is the only person that would start or play on Georgia's roster probably. I mean, that's a little, we could find a couple more. So maybe that's like a little the over exaggerating, but kind of also not really. And again, they got you never want the full eye of Sauron. You've seen Lord of the Rings, right? You never want Sauron's gaze fully focused on you. You want it distracted. You want it watching the battle outside of the gates where you sneak in the back door and drop the ring in Mount Doom. That's what Mizzou did last year. Georgia wasn't really looking at him. They're kind of playing around, looking here and there. All of a sudden, like, oh shit, we're in a fight. Well, the problem is now they're fully focused on you and you're going to their house. And so I just don't see it. All right, we got one more game to break down, but first, a message from our friends at DraftKings. NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball is back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is celebrating with an unbeatable offer. Right now, new customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Win or lose, like it doesn't matter. You start the season with an instant dub. And always remember, the DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at an even bigger basketball wins. So string together multiple bets in the same game or build a parlay across multiple games for a shot at making your payday even sweeter. Bottom line is, basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code TBOB, TBOB. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code TBOB, TBOB. The crown is yours. All right, y'all. Real quick, couple minutes on the way out here.
Before we start, everyone,
yeah,
smash the like, hit the thumbs up.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
Hit the like button, sub, please. Thank y'all so much. The road to AK continues. Let's have ourselves a weekend, make it happen. Real quick, Texas, Kansas State. Quinn Ewers likely still going to be out here, meaning we're probably going to get Malik Murphy again. It's a mixed bag for Texas, as Malik Murphy and them came out the gate strong last week and then kind of stalled for pretty much the entirety of the game. Aaron, you had some interesting research here where when you started breaking it down, you were actually feeling pretty bullish on a Kansas State upset. Where'd you end up here?
Yeah, I was, man. And like I was watching some tape this morning, go back and rewatching Malik Murphy from last week. And listen, Texas kept it pretty vanilla versus BYU, and it's his first start. So maybe there's some progress from week 1 to week 2. But to be honest, like I wasn't super impressed. Forced a lot of footballs, some mistakes. Obviously, it showed in that game and kind of kept it somewhat close until they kind of ran away with it. And Jonathan Brooks was the key, and Jonathan Brooks will continue to have to be the key as Quinn Ewers is out. He's an absolute stud. So I'm like, kind of like, man, like Kansas State's playing good football right now. Texas backup quarterback that I don't love. They're going to be one-dimensional. Can Kansas State actually win this football game? So kind of did some digging. Kansas State home and away. It is the biggest difference I've seen all year. It's 2 different football teams. And here are the stats. Kansas State at home. Defensive points per game, 9. On the road, 27. That's how much they're giving up. Rushing defense yards per game, 89 at home, only giving up 89 yards per game at home. On the road, 143. Total defensive yards per game at home, 285. On the road, 440. And then scoring offense. At home, they're getting 43 points per game. On the road, 29 points per game. So this is a football team that's really good at home, not very good on the road. 2 different football teams. So Texas is similar to what we just talked about with Georgia and Missouri. Texas is superior at the majority of the positions. They should win this game. I'd still have some reservations about Malik Murphy. Jonathan Brooks is an absolute beast, but this offensive line for Texas too this year has been kind of up and down. Like they've had great games like Alabama, then they've had kind of games where they've looked average. So I'm honestly really torn. If Quinn Ewers was playing going against that secondary for Kansas State, which is horrendous. I mean, Kansas State's secondary is awful. I think Texas would win by double digits. But Malik Murphy has to present a threat of throwing the football, or this is going to be a close game. I think Vegas has it around a 4. So on a neutral site, they're kind of saying without Quinn Ewers, this is a coin toss. And I kind of think it is going to be a pretty damn close football game. So I think it all lies on Malik Murphy's ability to throw the football.
And I know that Sark got the big win in Tuscaloosa. I'm still not a Sark truster, dude. The quotes that he had this last week about how like impressive their Alabama win was, and he doesn't see a more impressive win. And like, why the fuck does Sark why does he care where Texas is ranked in the first college football playoff ranking? Like, what do most alpha coaches do? They just say, oh, I don't care about any of that. We're going to go win the game. We're going to go beat Kansas State. We're going to beat Kansas State. That's all that matters. And he's out here still stumping. You know, I don't think anybody has a better win than us going into Tuscaloosa. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Focus on the game. How about you beat Kansas State? Something that they have done, I think, 4 or 5 years in a row. So, because of everything you mentioned with the home and away splits, I'll give the nod to Texas at home. But that's kind of where I'm at with, no, I think UJ is going to blow out Mizzou. But like, that's kind of where I'm at with kind of LSU, Alabama, as well as so close in so many ways. But in Tuscaloosa, in Austin is maybe the difference there. All right. That'll do it for today's show. A huge shout out to everybody for hanging out with us. We love you. Hey, remember, coming up tomorrow, won't be live, but we will have our guy Colin Wilson with some more gambling advice. Colin been making us money all season long, so you're not going to want to miss that. That'll be uploaded to the channel. And I'm hoping to get something live on Friday as well. Maybe like a bit more of a chill stream, kind of a bit more conversational, hangout, look around things, questions, answers, all that. So stick around and be ready for more of that, probably around Friday morning. Mac 34, I got in here late. Do they not do picks? We don't really do like traditional picks too much on this show, actually. But we gave you our takes on the game, so go check them out. Love y'all so much. And
we did give our picks. Like I picked Georgia to win and LSU to win.
No, I know, but we don't do like we don't have like our records for the season and like everything else. But if you want gambling picks, you want to listen to Colin tomorrow for sure. Excuse me, all. Okay, please like, subscribe. The road to Kincaid continues. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow on a brand new episode of Snaps.